Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup here at Michigan, the Motor City state, of course. And we are here live tonight. We're just following Shea Thompson at the moment in qualifying. We are going to be looking at a bit of an interesting race tonight. It can be a bit difficult out here at Michigan for the tyres, and I'll jump over to Jono. How are you going, Jono?
Good, I'm going well, Carl. How are you this week?
I am not bad, thank you. Not bad at all. Shea Thompson crosses the line. Doesn't manage to go faster. Just wanted to actually say about Shea Thompson, had a very good practice lap. We've seen some good practice laps out there tonight. We've got a couple of new drivers out there too. A couple of new people out there setting some good times. Jason Martin just jumping to the top of the leaderboard as we go through here. But also, before we forget, we have got a new rule for tonight, and that is 4 sets of tyres for the race, Jono.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and how drivers manage it, and how also safety cars play into that, because we know Michigan can cause a few safety cars. There's always a big one here, like most oval tracks, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that really plays in.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a very different thing because it's 4 sets of tyres for the race, we should state, not for all the sessions. But yeah, for safety cars, that means you've only got 4 tyre stops you can make, so you won't see everybody darting in every chance they get. And of course, here at Michigan, it is a track that relies on tyres. Tyres have a big drop-off here, as we see one of the last cars coming to a stop for qualifying. And just looking down, we've got, looks like Riley Curtis and Michael Latter aren't going to go out today. So looking as we stand, the Mitch Motorsport boys have managed to lock out the front row with a 1-2-3 with Danny G, Josh Mickelmore and Jason Martin. Kind of reverse what we usually expect from those guys.
Yeah, the Mitch Motorsport guys have been very strong as of recent, and I guess we've come to expect this type of driving from them.
Yes, and they were always strong. Up in 4th place, we have Edward Foster with the JP Simshed team. A really good result for him getting up into 4th place. Getting a very good qualifying result, something he'll be happy about, as qualifying isn't always his strong point. And 5th place, we've got Raymond Yeager, Mike Brown 6th, 7th Barry Neal, 8th place Norman Clark, Nick Huslander, a newish driver to the series, and Joshua Carroll Walden. So we're going to jump to our race server, and while we do that, we'll give you the highlights from our last round at Britain's Gone Dead. Kansas, that's the one. And we've already got a caution out here tonight, as one of the cars has gone down underneath the Station Walker's gone down, and that is a big one.
Yeah, we're going to go to recall.
Yeah, it was
just
a big
got into
incident,
an outside wall there, and I don't know if they were helped there at all or not, but some of the back guys had to really avoid it.
line for the white flag lap by Hybrid Racing Simulations. Is Gallagher going to do it? He's only got one lap to go. Not much here, but you can see them visibly catching him. It's down to 1.7 seconds now between Gallagher and Danny G. Could Gallagher pull out a fantastic win here as he goes into the final set of corners, into the tri-oval section, puts his foot back on the floor, turns the engine back on. Is there going to be enough fuel to get it to the line? It looks like it might do it. He's done it, and Danny G gets second place by the narrowest of margins, with Jason Martin in third. Norman Clark takes a fantastic fourth position as well for JP Simshed. Brilliant drive for Norman Clark. Shay Thompson manages to pip Josh Micklemore to the post in fifth place. Sixth place we have Michael Skurlock, who is looking to be completely out of fuel. Stephen Williams crosses for 8th. Damage control for Edward Foster, who manages to get 9th place. Brilliant recovery drive for Foster, with Bradley Allison managing 10th in the end. But a brilliant win there for Hamish Gallagher. And welcome back, everybody, to the race server. I may have just witnessed a huge crash on the front straight there. Had a bit of a big one there for a moment, and that's one of the possibilities here at Michigan. It can be one of those tracks where a big one can happen, can't it?
Yeah, and talking about crashes, we just recently got the new damage model, as we've seen nicely showing in that clip for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the way the bodywork's flapping and bits aren't just falling off. The nose doesn't immediately fall off now, which is going to make a real change to how people react to damage, of course, because with the nose sticking on there, of course, if you've got damage to the cooling, it could possibly add to the cooling effects and cause more damage to things and make things worse for you as the race goes on, obviously.
Yeah, it certainly can. If you bend your nose too much, it can block cooling, all types of things.
Which is a interesting thing to see for sure, and it's nice to actually have those new damage models in finally, because it's been a long time coming for sure, hasn't it?
It has been it's been a long time coming, but it's good to finally see it in now.
Yeah, so we're back into practice just now, so everybody's just getting their warm-up in and getting ready to go. So as we saw in qualifying, as we expected, the Mitch Motorsport boys did lock out that front row, but it looks there are a few drivers that are definitely nipping at their heels, aren't there?
Yeah, there's always, like we talked about, Edward Foster, he's there sitting in 4th, so he's there for the JP Simshed guys tonight, and he's a quick driver, so he should give them a run for their money, hopefully, and give us a bit of a show tonight.
Yeah, and as we say, qualifying's not always his strongest point. Getting up there is going to be very good for him. I'm sure he's going to be very happy about that one, because usually he sort of starts a little bit further down the grid, and that can cause trouble, especially at tracks like this, where obviously a big incident can happen. In other news, you've got news about Bradley Allison, if that's correct.
Yeah, he's recently been signed to, let me just get the name of the team correct here, Vision Motorsport. So yeah, he's been signed with them, and we see tonight too that some of the JP Simshed cars running new liveries with their new sponsors, Dragon RC, their new main sponsor, Nationwide Tracking Systems there. So we'll see those changes out there tonight on the track.
Yeah, a few different paint schemes, which is always a good thing to throw us off of our game, because, you know, I love it when people change their paint colours, because I always call it the wrong car. So guaranteed that I'm going to make mistakes tonight. But speaking about that new sponsorship for them, for the channel, of course, Simshed Broadcasting, with our upcoming broadcasts this, next week, obviously, we have on Monday the Club Day Masters GT4 series, where the new BMW GT4 is going to come into it. Tuesday, we have the National Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship. Brand new season for it starting, so it's second season. And Wednesday will be a replay of the National Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Split 2 race. So lots of stuff on the channel. So if you are new, if you are first time listening and watching the broadcast here, please subscribe to catch more of that. The V8s have been absolutely phenomenal, haven't they, Donna?
Yeah, I've been doing some work over there in the Supercar series, both as a commentator and also helping out with the calls and driving the safety car for them. So it can be pretty full on at times, and it's really exciting to see, you know, it's an Aussie based series and an Aussie based car. So you have a lot of competitors, and it's a really top-notch series.
Absolutely, and it's not just Australian circuits, of course. It's circuits all across the world, isn't it?
Yeah, circuits everywhere across the world, Europe, the States. Just depends on what week and where we are running.
And it's kind of cool because it gives you an idea of just how fast those cars are. Because you see, the only real comparison that we have in the real world is, of course, Bathurst, where we get the GT racing at the 12 hours. That's sort of the most widespread, I would say, because there is, of course, the Australian GT Championship that we do have running and things like that. But you see the real difference of like the V8 to a GT car. GT cars are so much faster through the twisty turny bits across the top of the mountain. But when it comes to straight out speed, those V8s are absolutely dominant, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and I'm not sure you're an F1 fan. You'll probably be able to correct me on this if I got it wrong, but I believe a few years ago, going back probably mid-2000s, Lewis Hamilton did a lap around Bathurst. Was it Lewis or was it Schumacher? I can't remember.
I think it was Button.
Mr. Button,
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm pretty sure it was Button. Yeah, it was in the McLaren, I think, off the top of my head. It's having to think there for a moment, but yes. Yeah, I actually, interestingly enough, with Formula One facts, as we come and finish the practice session, but I'm going to get this out of my system before we go on. I do own a tiny, tiny nut from his Australian Grand Prix winning car, which is one of my prized possessions. One of the little fuel nuts on his car. So just a random interesting thing that I own. Anyway, we're lining up for the start of the race, so let's go through the order. On the first row of the grid, we have Danny G and Josh Micklemore. Danny G getting a great qualifying session, out-qualifying his teammates. Second row, we have Jason Martin with Edward Foster. Third row, we have Mike Brown with Raymond Yeager. Fourth row, Barry Neal with Norman Clark. Fifth row, Nick Huslander with Josh Carroll Walden. Sixth row, Jackson Callow with Stacey Walker. Seventh row, Damon Stockton with Lachlan. Eighth row, Stephen Williams with Jason Hartigan. Ninth row, James Ribby with Amish Gallagher, last time's winner. Out there again, probably going to try his best to get another win under his belt. Ninth, we have Shay Thompson, who's very quick in practice with Mick Wilson. 10th row is Matt Hunter with Michael Skurlock. Bit far down for Skurlock for qualifying, I can see him down there. Danny Alden and Tristan Koch in row 11. 12, we have Mirko Dortnack with Gareth Hansen. 13, we have Bradley Allison with Michael Schroeder. 14, Stephen Hoppett with Phil Otto. 15, Mark Johansson with Riley Curtis. And at the back of the grid is Michael Latter. So, yes, really good result for, obviously, the Mitch Motorsport boys, but a few cars that are usually not so high up the grid are up there tonight, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's interesting to see who's all up there tonight, and who isn't. A few names that I didn't recognise there in your call-outs, Carl, so I believe we may have a new name or two in the race here tonight.
A couple of new drivers, yeah, absolutely. Nick Huslander is from America, I believe, if I remember correctly. So some slightly different drivers out there tonight. As we're about to go green here for the actual race, so as we come off this corner, but just before we do, John, any prediction for tonight?
Interesting to ask me, Carl. I'm going to say Mitch Motorsport 1, 2, 3.
I'm going to go with Jason Martin, and as the pace car comes in, we're going to shut up for the start of this race. the line for the first lap. Danny G has pulled out for the lead. A great start for Danny G. Edward Foster getting a bit of a stormer as well, but getting caught up behind Josh Micklemore. Just managed to block him off a little bit. Great teamwork there by Mitch Motorsport to sort of cut off the charge from Foster. He's now dropping to the lower line to try and get past Jason Martin here. Cars are looking a little bit wobbly out there at the moment, a little bit loose, so to say. Not looking quite comfortable as we go round, and this can be a bit of a tricky track for that, can't it?
Yeah, I believe they've done a few tyre model changes too. I'm not sure if they were to all cars. I know they were done to the GT cars, I'm not sure if they were done over here as well, but I know they've done some tyre changes as they do with most of the builds, so there might be a bit of a difference in the tyre warm-up now as we see Edward Foster trying to go underneath for third.
And looks like he's making it stick at the moment as we've got two lines running here at Michigan. Obviously you can run too wide here without too much trouble. This track is quite harsh on its tyres though.
Yeah, and with these boys only being allowed 4 set over a 100 lap race, it's going to be interesting to see how everyone manages those tyres.
Yes, it's obviously we mentioned in the qualifying that if you miss that, we have a new rule for this race that we're trialling out, and that is 4 sets of tyres for the race to obviously stop the constant pit stops of caution flags. So you have to really manage the tyres a little bit, which is something new and strategic for the racing, as we see Danny G giving Jason Martin a nice pull along there, who's also got Mike Brown just behind him getting a nice little tug along. Just behind as well, Barry Neal just got a fantastic run out of the corner there, catching up to Foster. Good racing at the back. They are getting a little bit dicey back there. But yes, 4 tyres for every car. So you're only allowed to change tyres 4 times in this race, obviously. You've only got 4 sets of tyres. So that means we would usually see everybody coming in on a caution because the tyres go off here after about 5 or 6 laps. You do get a lot of drop-off. But in this race, if we do have a few cautions, they're going to have to think strategically about that on when to pit. So it will bring some interesting stuff for us as we go round for lap 6 shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be something to consider definitely towards the end of the race. Is it going to be a defining factor on who actually manages their tyres the best to be able to win here tonight? As you said, other times people have been able to just change tyres when they want, as we see Edward Foster go 3 wide into turn 1.
Very, very brave move there for Foster, but he makes it stick. Fantastic move on Foster's behalf there. Getting 3 wide across the start-finish line, something you don't want to do at Michigan. If you can, you want to avoid 3 wide here, but he did it and he made it stick, getting ahead of Josh Micklemore, which is one of his big rivals there.
Yeah, very big move there, and that was good that he made it stick. And when you asked me there before the race, Carl, or before we went green, who I picked, why I said Mitch Motorsport 1, 2, 3 is because they've been on the cusp of having a 1, 2, 3 the last few races, and I don't know which particular order they're going to come in, but I think they're going to come in a 1, 2, 3 sometime very soon.
A bit of a safe bet for sure as Micklemore goes down and tries to do the 3 wide maneuver himself. Doesn't look like it's going to work out. He's going to try the side draft, but doesn't have the speed there at the moment. Foster's going down and he's just blocking that line on the inside line a little bit, just keeping his car position to sort of keep Micklemore behind him. But while they're doing that, they're losing time and they've just dropped back quite a few positions there, and that's allowed Mike Brown to come up.
Yeah, definitely giving these guys behind him a bit more energy, I guess, and they can see him right there, so they're going to push a bit harder right now to try and get to him and get the job done.
Yeah, definitely some hard charges through the field at the moment, which is good to see. Just mentioning some hard charges, Stephen Williams has managed to get 7 places up from, managed to get up to P8. Really good job for Williams. Started 15th. Nick Holzlander, there we go, I'll get it eventually, has also got up to the P5 as well. Good run by him, and he's charging the field at the moment, just getting past Micklemore. Really nice move there.
A very bunched up field here at the moment.
It is an edge of your seat field, isn't it? Because it's just, it looks like there could be a crash any moment as they are just that little bit loose out there as the tyres start to wear away, but they are starting to move into single file formation now. Of course, when you're running this close at these speeds, they're running, close to 300 kilometers per hour across the straights, things like that. It is very easy to make a small mistake, and that becomes a very large punishment for you.
Yeah, that's gonna end your night if you even make the smallest mistake. And then up in the wall here, it's not like a road course where you got area to pull off to the side of the road. It's straight into the wall.
Straight into a safer barrier, and then usually straight into the inside wall. It's not a very fun experience. But speaking of road courses, this is the final oval for a couple of races, because next time out we're at Sonoma, and that's going to be a completely different bucket of fish.
I'm just glad I'm not racing.
I know a few people that have said they would rather join us up in the commentary booth than race there. So you never know, we might have a special guest commentator next time out.
Yeah, road courses are not fun in these things. Big horsepower to the rear wheels in a heavy tank is not fun.
No, and that's it. It's a very difficult car to drive on a road course. These cars obviously favour ovals, and they're designed for that. And when you take one of them out on a road course, they really do start to struggle. And you do notice that weight difference, and they're a little bit whaley sometimes.
Yeah, talking about driving international drivers on Australian road courses like we were before, I believe we had NASCAR twice now at the Gold Coast. Like, we've had drivers there. I think Ambrose drove once there, and we had one of the American drivers drive there too.
Yeah, the Gold Coast, of course, used to be the Indy series and Champ Car back in the days, back long ago when I used to work for a certain team that begins with P and ends with Enski. But of course, the Gold Coast race was a big favourite of the Yanks. They really loved that track. And a lot of American drivers have driven it over the years and do like, if they can, to get a bit of a celebrity drive in the V8s, they try their best for it. Of course, we generally see it now at Bathurst, of course. We usually get a few international drivers there, not so much the NASCAR drivers anymore, unfortunately, but we can only hope that a few come over for it.
No, we had Indy drivers, I believe, this year in the Napa car. I believe they were Indy drivers, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, there was a few Indy drivers. I'm grasping for names. Memory is not working yet. I think Sylvester and things like that were there. Of course, she used to be a Indy driver herself. There is a lot of crossover, and well, the Americans love the V8 series. It's one of those things they're quite jealous of, which is fun. Being such a sort of small country, well, I mean, we're a very large country, but we're a very small country in terms of people. And having such a standout series as the NASCAR series does help. While we're having a great battle down from about 9th to about 16th, the cars are very packed up. Jackson Callow just in the lead of that pack, but they're pretty much going 3 wide. Hamish Gallagher on the bottom trying to get past Stephen Williams and Norman Clark there as well. There is a big battle going on around that area.
Yeah, all the cars are seeming to bunch up right there in that area. There seems to be a few just packs of cars happening at the moment on the racetrack. The leaders, and then we got this secondary pack back here, and then a few falling off the back there.
Yeah, that secondary pack is sort of growing in numbers as they battle, because people are starting to catch up. Matt Hunter as well battling away in there in a nice bright yellow car, easy to spot, as we get Stephen Williams coming up high. Phil Otto coming up high and getting a little bit loose there. So yeah, quite a few drivers in that area, just very, very close together, and it's very easy to make a mistake in a place like this.
Yeah, it's any oval racing is easy to make a mistake in. But these guys are more running the 2-car line at the moment, or a bit of a chop and a change here and there, and those front drivers are mainly sitting in that one line at the moment.
Yeah, the front has definitely settled down now, as they all just sit in a single line ant formation as they go along there. And obviously not a bad thing to do because it will help fuel numbers, and you're not going to be working the tyres quite as hard when you're chopping and changing different lines. Of course, that can affect those tyres a little bit more, and you do get a lot of drop off on that right front tyre here as well. It does not like these corners.
It's basically getting dragged through them corners, I guess, would be the correct term, Carl, would it not?
Yes, pretty much dragged and scraped through the corners. Jackson Calloway just catching the fence a little bit on that last lap, just noticed. A little bit of a bump into the fence, nothing major, but not what you want to do. That's going to unsettle the car a little bit and can cause a little bit of damage in there as well.
Yeah, it can cause a bit of damage, especially with this new damage model. I believe you can tweak the steering a little bit.
Yeah, it's of course not given it a good tryout yet. Oh, and we got a car around at the back. We have got a car around at the back as Bradley Allison unfortunately gets round at the back, gets a bit of a shunt, I think, from Damon Stockton, and goes around in a very, very wild fashion. We'll go back and have a little look at that. Looks like Stockton's just come down, just caught the back of Allison's car and sent him up into the fence. Huge crash there. Lucky nobody else got involved though. That would have been a significantly larger crash if a few more people were around them. Good thing for Allison though, the car doesn't look too bad in all honesty. There doesn't seem to be huge amounts of damage on the front of the car, a little bit mangled at the back, but might not be too bad. Now we just have to see how much damage it's done underneath the hood, of course.
Yeah, it was all rear impact by the looks of the replay there that we had. So hopefully it's not too bad for him.
No, and we'll have to see if
new model, as you saw, it didn't just disappear.
Yes, there's actual bumps and divots on the car rather than just the whole rear end just dropping off, which is great to see. Now, of course, the question is do you pit as one of the front runners? We've only done 19 laps, of course. So do you pit now, or do you stay out there for a bit longer?
If you're pitting, you're only pitting for fuel, I believe. At this stage, you wouldn't be pitting for tyres. They're going to all make me look like an idiot now, aren't they?
Very much so. Yeah, I think everybody's going to come in and swap those tyres over. I think it's if they stayed out there, I think everybody would have stayed out there. But I think seeing people come in, everybody's going to come in because the loss you're going to get on 20 lap old tyres is really going to affect you here. So we'll see if people only take a couple of tyres as Foster makes a mistake getting into his pit box. A big mistake for Foster as well as Mike Brown as well. Mike Brown having to do a bit of an Austin Powers move there and drive the car in and out and in and out and out again as they come out the pit lane. Yeah, so some good times for the front runners, as you can see on the display there. Obviously, Foster dropping back quite a lot there because of that mistake in the pit box, as well as Mike Brown. A couple of people gaining a few positions out of that as well.
Yeah, we saw a great stop by Jason Martin there.
Yeah, Martin having a fantastic stop, and it's good to see for Martin because, of course, that was always his Achilles heel, was pit stops. We saw in previous rounds of the series, Martin losing out because of pit stops going wrong for him. So it's good to see that he has managed to, he's obviously been working on that very hard, and he's managed to improve it. Another thing that's going to be interesting actually for Sonoma, just speaking of Jason Martin, he's been working very hard on his road series, on road racing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does, because again, road courses were one of his weak points. So he has worked hard, but don't expect to see him too far up when we go back to the road racing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because some drivers just can't drive at road courses. It's one of those things, being an oval driver, you're used to turning only left.
Well, that's the thing. It's not to say a lot of them drive sort of road courses, but different series like GT3, GT4, different cars there, and those cars tend to be a lot better. Interestingly, actually, Bradley Allison stayed out after all of that. He's actually just stuck out there and has taken the lead because of that. So Bradley Allison taking a bit of a gamble out here. He's going to stay out on those old tyres, so we're going to see how the damage affects him, but also how much those tyres are going to affect him, as well as the pace car's going to come in on this lap. But yeah, we do see a lot of drivers that tend to sort of favour road courses over ovals, and some that favour ovals over road courses, especially in these NASCARs. As I think Bradley Allison's coming into pit with the pace car, so he stayed out there just to pick up a couple of laps on the ticket. But we go back to green, and Danny G leads away. Obviously, Bradley Allison there just getting a couple of bonus points for staying out there, of course, and leading a lap. So it looks like that was his plan there, because he's going to lose a lap or so coming into the pit lane now. And Huslander has got a fantastic run after that great pit stop, and he's got down on the inside of Danny G. Is he going to make this one stick? Looks like he might do it. He's got good position at the moment, but Danny G might get a better drive off the corner, having that higher line. It's going to be neck and neck as they come across the start-finish line here. Holzlander's got a good position to go into the first corner. He's going to get a better drive into the corner. Danny G will probably get a better drive out of the corner. If he can manage to slot himself up in front of Danny G here, it could be perfect for him. He's still not quite ahead of Danny G yet. Danny G's got that outside line, still going to have a better run off the corner. Faster out of the corner onto the straight, of course. But Holzlander's going to be faster into the corner. So he just needs to get ahead of Danny G in this corner and slot up in front of him to keep that position sticking there.
Looks like he may get him here, but Danny G's also got his teammate right there behind him.
Yeah, with Jason Martin there pushing him along, as well as Josh Micklemore behind him. All three of those Mitch Motorsport cars again working in unison, doing a great job. Another guy that's managed to get a good couple of positions. Fantastic move by Holzlander there, getting up in front of Danny G. Now Danny G is going to go to the inside line, get a push from his teammates, and this could really hurt Holzlander here, as he's not going to be able to slide down, and he gets just a little bit of contact with Danny G there. He manages to save that car. That was a very, very big crash that was saved by some very skilled driving by Holzlander there. Just a tap on the back of Danny G's car. You can see the damage on Holzlander's car, because the front has crumpled a little bit, and that's going to affect the aerodynamics of that car as well.
Yeah, I don't know who moved up and who moved down there, but we had it coming together.
That was almost a very big crash as well, but great save for Holzlander. But that's going to probably affect him a bit in straight line speed. If he's sitting out in front, he's going to have to try and slot behind somebody, I imagine, to keep that one safe, as I think Barry Neal's coming into the pit lane, I think. Barry Neal's got some damage on his car as well. Just going to go and see what happened there. I'll go back and have a little bit of a look, see what happened to that. But yeah, Barry Neal carrying some damage. He's coming to the pit lane. Not sure exactly when that happened, because yeah, there's quite a bit of damage on the front of that car, and obviously causing him some woe out there. We've got just behind there, we've got Shea Thompson now going down the inside of Holzlander, with Stephen Williams behind him. So brilliant driving by these guys.
Yeah, it's always brilliant driving out here in the ANZCAR series.
And sneaking his way back up the field, making a good recovery from that rather unfortunate pit stop is Foster. He's climbing his way back up the field. Definitely got some speed in that car.
Yeah, and he had the frustration going under the helmet too at the moment, which is probably fueling him on at the moment a little bit too.
Yes, of course, that's one of the things is you've got to try and keep cool when you're driving. When things go wrong, sometimes you can get very annoyed, and it's very easy to get a little bit too angry. Very easy to get very angry and have the red mist descend. As Foster getting very close to Holzlander as well across the start-finish line there. Just millimetres between those two guys. Some very close racing there.
Yeah, some very close racing to say the least.
As we see a few close moments. Mike Brown also getting involved in that. Yeah, there's some very dicey action going up from about 7th down. As Jason Martin takes the lead of the race from his teammate Danny G. Just sitting behind them, though, is, I want to mention, Raiden Jaeger. Jaeger having a fantastic run again. We've seen this from Jaeger this year, having some great runs early on in the race. And it's good to see Jaeger up there again. One of the drivers that hasn't managed to get a cup win yet, but is definitely on the verge of it. Jaeger has always been strong, and, well, as we saw last time out with Hamish Gallagher, it can always come in your favour. There is always that moment. But just behind him, that battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and onwards is really heating up now.
Yeah, one of our biggest movers so far is Riley Curtis, all the way in 15th. Gained 17 positions so far in the race.
Oh, Stephen Williams makes a little bit of a mistake there and loses speed as Shea Thompson goes right through the middle, threading the eye of the needle there. Fantastic driver, very, very close to an accident in all honesty, but brilliant control there. Williams just keeping the car straight and not causing an accident. That could have been a very big crash there as he lost the speed. These guys are really getting quite close and racy at the moment.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how racy they're getting for only 31 laps of 100 done so far. So they interesting to say the least, and they've got to be thinking about those tyres too.
Absolutely, they're going to be pushing those tyres quite hard right here, and those guys from 5th onwards are definitely pushing the tyres a lot harder than the guys in the lead. We've seen cars all over different lines, different positions, as somebody comes into the pit lane. Not sure who that was. That's Nick Hulslander. Nick Hulslander has come into the pits. So obviously that damage on the front has been causing a bit too much of an issue, and he's coming into the pit lane now.
Yeah, he was falling back there, so obviously that's caused some type of aero damage there for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely not helping a car when you've got big bits of front bodywork missing, and of course we can't see what damage it's done to the steering. That's the big thing, of course, as Shea Thompson and Mike Brown just make slight contact. Stacey Walker, and Shea Thompson make slight contact with each other there. Very, 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 very close touching. A little bit of rubbing there, but rubbing is racing, of course, in NASCAR.
It is in any series unless you drive those F1 cars that just break.
Unless it's an open wheeler, it's fine. That's what panels are made for. But yeah, very close racing, and now they're starting to fall into a sort of single line formation. A couple of drivers a little bit further back, we've got Norman Clark getting a good run. And a few of these drivers is definitely starting to climb up as well on these guys that are battling at the sort of front end of the pack.
Yeah, it's heating up very early on so far. These guys are hopefully remembering that they only got four tyres, which I don't know if they can actually recycle tyres, can they? Is that a thing?
Not sure. That I'm not sure of. I don't know if they can put on different sets. So I didn't ask enough questions in the green room earlier on to get that bit. As again, Stacey Walker gets very, very close to Shea Thompson there, as Brown manages to pull out the lead there and get ahead. get ahead of those cars. Meanwhile, Foster's there battling away, just trying his best to get through this pack that's battling on. I'm sure he'd rather be up at the front than in the midst of this battle that's currently happening.
Yeah, he's unfortunate about his pit stop there. I thought he was in his box until I saw him move again, and I was like, "Oops."
He went in a little bit too steep in the angle, and yeah, he had to reverse a little bit to be able to get the car to go back out again. So he might have locked a wheel or something coming into the pit stop. I do know he has changed his rig and everything very recently, so may still be getting used to the new steering wheel system and everything like that. But yeah, at the moment we're getting some good racing from that sort of sixth downwards. Up the front is pretty much the same as it was before. Jason Martin, Danny G, Josh Micklemore, and Raymond Yeager just sticking on the back there, holding on nicely there, Yeager, just sitting there waiting to pounce.
Yeah, he's just waiting for a mistake or something to happen and just to pounce on that opportunity, and he's also probably just happy to be up there, not battling with other people.
I can imagine Yeager actually being quite relieved not to be battling in the mid-pack where he usually sits. Often we see Yeager sort of qualifying a little bit midfield sort of thing, and then having that sort of constant action in the battle pack as Stacey Walker gets a great run on Shea Thompson there. Very close racing by the two, but very well manoeuvred by Walker there, getting past Thompson. Really good job there. And while they're all battling, Mike Brown is starting to pull away. The other guy that had a mistake in the pit box, the 56 car, the 56 and the 53 both had bad pit stops, so not the best time to have a 50 car. But they're managing to get back up the pack now. Foster is slowly climbing back up there as he gets past Shea, it gets past Thompson, and now trying to get a little bit of push, getting a little bit of help from teammate Joshua Carroll Walden now, who's joined the battle.
Yeah, JCW has just been hanging in that mid-pack all night tonight so far, so now that everyone's been able to hook up with him, maybe I'll be able to pull forwards a bit through the pack and get up to those lead guys.
Another guy that's made a fair few spots is Skurlock, who had a bit of a poor qualifying session. I did mention that, qualified quite low, but Skurlock's now back up there in the top 10. Good drive from Skurlock getting up there and yeah, starting to move a few positions. So we're seeing a few interesting sort of gains and losses here now as Foster and JCW start to make a good move as Shea Thompson right on the side of JCW there. Fantastic driving. Really well helped by Thompson. It's going to split the two JP Simshed cars up.
Yeah, it's good driving there, and I feel like a lot of these mid-pack guys here are currently going up and then falling back, going up and falling back. So yeah, maybe they're cycling through their tyre life, or I don't know what, but yeah, I feel like a lot of them are moving up to the front of that line and then falling back through it.
Well, the big thing for this race is you can do around about 55 to 60 laps on a full tank. So obviously stopping where we did, you're not going to make it to the end of the race if we go green all the way. Interestingly enough, we saw a similar situation last year. We saw, I think it was Matthew Clerk, actually did try and make the strategy work, staying out for the whole race. Or as Skurlock has a bit of a moment. But we did see Clerk last year trying his best. Schroeder. Schroeder having a bit of a save there. Too many Michaels in there. Schroeder going fully sideways, manages to save it somehow. Great save. But we did see Clerk last year doing a bit of a Hamish Gallagher, as we saw last time out, and managing to get the fuel to the end of the race, but he ran out on the final lap and then started to lose positions very, very quickly. So we could see a couple of people try and gamble and possibly try their best to stay out, but they're not going to make it to the end, but they'll probably stay out as long as they can, just in case of a caution.
Yeah, it's interesting call. How they're going to call it, how they're going to play it out here tonight.
If we got a caution now, we might see people trying to the end of the race from here. So anytime onwards now is really when you sort of get the pit window opening up to get to the end of the race, really. But we'll obviously have to see how that goes. Just at the front now, there's a gap formed between all of the drivers. They're no longer sitting nose to tail. There's a good half second between each of the drivers now as we go down to fourth place with Bremen Jaeger. So they've all fallen about half a second off of each other, so big gaps between them. And we're seeing a similar thing mid-pack from Mike Brown, Foster, Walker, down to Shea Thompson, who's still having a bit of a battle as Hamish Gallagher, of course, the aforementioned Hamish Gallagher comes up and starts battling there with Michael Skurlock and JCW.
Yeah, it's must be tyres starting to get to their flatter point at this point in time. Like the tyre curvature is flattening out.
Yeah, the drop off becomes quite sudden when it happens here. It's sort of you feel like the car's going okay for a while, and then all of a sudden it's just you have to lift a lot more through those corners, and it just doesn't feel quite as good. And you really do notice that when it happens. But Gallagher's been sort of holding off as they get very close coming through turn 2 as they touch. Thompson and Gallagher do touch, but it's just the mildest of contact there. Very, very, very close racing. They just swap a little bit of paint as they go through the corner. Both drivers keeping it well. But we are getting very close here as they come across the tribal-ish section again. Thompson and Gallagher battling for those positions side by side. You can't really get closer than this, can you?
No, unless you're at Talladega or Daytona, you can't get much closer than this.
No, you don't really want to get much closer than this anyway. It's a very, very daunting position to be in when you're that close to a car, especially if you're on the outside line, because you've then got a wall next to you as well, and it can be quite a scary thing when you're racing and you're sort of trying to keep your distance between the wall and the car inside of you, and there's only a couple of millimetres between it.
Yeah, it's always nice to be on the inside.
And Gallagher has made that move stick, but now Skurlock is coming down the inside with the help of JCW as Gallagher goes down to cover off Skurlock, who gets a little bit of a slide through the corner, manages to keep the car going though, keep it going straight. Thompson goes into the wall, gets a bit of a bang in the wall on that right hand side, a little bit of damage there. Skurlock doing a fantastic drift job through that corner. Managing to keep speed in it as well, but that's not going to do the tyres very good.
Nice. Sliding isn't the fastest way around here, and it's not the greatest way on the tyres.
It's not, as Stacey Walker just loses a few positions as well. Stacey Walker just losing it through 3 and 4, just going up. Just a lot of understeer there. Loses a lot of speed and then falls back in the pack, just managing not to make contact with the wall, but Gallagher did well to actually avoid contact there as the closing speed was extremely fast.
Yeah, these cars can have a big difference in speed, especially from someone who's a pack that's drafting and someone that's an individual. You get closed on very quickly.
You do, and back to the front now. As Jason Martin has got his teammate Danny G behind him, and those two have started getting closer and closer as we've been going along. It's one of those hard things to call which race to watch. Obviously, the front is it's not too close together now, but Danny G did have a bit of a run on them. Mainly just mentioning the leaders now, just so we don't forget about them. But Martin definitely seems to have this one in his pocket at the moment. Mike Brown doing a good job on recovery, slowly trying to get closer and closer to Jaeger. Foster behind him as well. They've managed to break away from that battle pack from 7th onwards as Skurlock gets a good run on Gallagher now. And Skurlock's going to make that one stick. He got a fantastic run down the inside line, and JCW looks to follow as well as they go around the lap car of Nick Holzlander as well. So Holzlander's back in the race a little bit further down. Obviously lost 5 laps from that repair job, but coming back up there.
Yeah, and he's looking to make some positions. By the looks of it, he's being racy. He's not giving up the spot easy, which is something that's a little different in oval racing compared to road racing. You don't have to give up the position if you're a lap car. You can
No
still
blue
race for it.
flags. It's how it should be. No blue flags. I'm a big hater of blue flags, unless they work in my favour, of course. But it's it's a skill to get around lap traffic, because obviously you don't have to give up that spot. If you're faster than the car in front of you, you can overtake them. There's no problem there, and that's something we do see when you do go oval racing. If you are on a slightly different strategy as well, you will see people being a lap down or 2 laps down, unlapping themselves. And sometimes you might be in last position, but you might have the fastest car out there and have to race the leaders, and that can be a daunting position to be in, especially when you are the leader. Just at the front again, though, Danny G getting another good look at Jason Martin.
Yeah. Danny G would be saving a bit there, sitting in the draft, but not too much.
Oh, and Jaeger's made a mistake. Rowan Jaeger's made a mistake, or something's happened. Jaeger's gone a little bit wide through turn 2, I think. And, yeah, hit the wall. Big hit on the wall for Raymond Jaeger. That's a real unfortunate thing to happen. Managed to save the car on the inside, on the infield, keep it going, so no caution. Managed to keep his spot for the moment as well. But how long that will be, we don't know.
Yeah, did he obtain any damage? Yeah, and if damage, how much damage did he obtain with that?
Exactly.
Looks like a bit of panel damage on the front right quarter.
Bit of damage there, and that's cost him a lot of time as well, because he did have a good lead in front of himself against people like Brown and Foster, but he's now falling into their grasp now. He's lost a good 4 seconds on those guys, so that is a big loss in time, obviously, and that's a real shame, because Jaeger was having a great race, very strong race there in the early parts of this session. As we go to lap 52, so we're over halfway through this race now.
Yeah, we are. Which will be interesting.
And the caution is out. And looks like that was Lachlan and Mirko Dorton, I believe. Looks like Mirko's gone into Lachlan, and that's put them round. Yeah, just getting into the side, and that's big damage to Dortnack as well. So a lot of damage on that car. Lachlan has got a flappy back section. Again, getting to see that damage model in action right now. You can see right on the back of his car, the panel is just flying around. So good to see the damage physics. Not good to see Lachlan in trouble, though.
No, it's never good to see a driver in trouble.
And of course, we're going to see everyone come into the pits now, and theoretically, this could be the last stop for everybody.
You reckon some 100-mile tape will fix it up real quick, Carl? Just stick it back on, or rip it off?
Rip it off. That's probably your best bet. Not sure what the iRacing mechanics would do in these situations, though. If I was one of them, I'd just rip it off, because you're probably going to be better with it off than trying to stick it back on in that position, because it, at least speaking in terms of real racing, it wouldn't stick on there much longer.
No.
So we're back in the pits again, and looks like Foster's hit his marks this time. Everybody seems to have stopped on the right spot. Battle off pit lane will happen soon as they get in those final tyres stuck on there. Who's going to be the first to get out pit lane? Looks like it might be Danny G, and he does it. Great job for Danny G there. Foster getting a really good stop as well, getting past Micklemore, who's lost a few positions. So 14.6 and 14.8 for Martin and Danny G, and 15.8 for Foster. But it was, sorry, 15.1, sorry, for Foster. But more importantly, that was faster than Micklemore. It's also allowed his teammate Joshua Carroll-Walden in the JP Simshed car to get ahead of Micklemore too. So a great stop for the JP Simshed pit crew there. Obviously, they're getting paid well tonight, so they must be working their best. But a good stop for them, and that's put them up in some good positioning.
Yeah, it looks like Micklemore had about a 17-second stop, I believe, there. So I don't know what went on there, but maybe he had some damage that he needed fixed.
A couple of panels beaten out or something like that. But yeah, that definitely did not help him too much. But we've seen this from Micklemore in the past. He's managed to climb back up there. Another guy this has worked well for is Skurlock, who has gone up to 6th position. And just because I forgot to do it at the start of the race, I'm just going to quickly run through the top 10 of the championship. So while we've got this caution flag out, I might as well use it to our advantage. So up in first place in the championship with a 9... sorry, where am I? That's my point lead. Up in first in the championship is Danny G. Second in the championship is Edward Foster, a 27-point lead for Danny G at the moment. Third is Michael Skurlock. Fourth, Josh Micklemore. Fifth, Hamish Gallagher. After that win has driven him up the championship quite well. Sixth is Jason Martin. Surprising to see him down so low, but he's been having he had a very off start to the season. Seventh place is Norman Clark, who's had a very strong season, very good finishing for him. Eighth is James Robbie. Ninth is Jason Hartigan, and then 10th place is Matthew Cloet. So a few drivers up there we've seen have some very strong results, such as Hartigan and of course Gallagher and Micklemore with those wins. Skurlock, of course, the first driver with 2 wins, and he's sitting down in 3rd at the moment. The only other driver with double wins in that sort of top 10 is Jason Martin. So, not many of the guys getting double wins at the moment. Obviously, all the Mitch Motorsport boys have managed to get a win this season now. The only driver in the sort of top 5, as we go back to green, is Foster. He's going to want to try and get that win under his belt, and he's sitting in a good position for it right now.
Yeah, as DNG gets a really good jump there, and Jason looks to the outside of Edward at the moment.
Yes, Martin, he's just losing out a little bit as he slips behind us. Josh Micklemore gets a great start as well. Managed to get past Joshua Carroll-Walden as well, so brilliant restart for Micklemore. Foster as well getting a strong restart as he goes down below Danny G, who's trying to get in the lead here. We'll soon see as they get very close from back wheel to front wheel. It looks like Foster may have it here, because Danny G's going to get a better drive off the line going down the straight, having that slightly better exit speed. Foster's going to get a better entry speed as they go into the first couple of corners again.
Yeah, we're just trying to push Denny up the track there and use that side air to upset the car.
Absolutely, trying your best to put your enemy at the disadvantage. But it looks like Danny G's got the speed at the moment. He's definitely managed to pull out another caution. And I believe it was we have Mick Wilson involved in that, as well as Danny Albin, I think. Just going back to a look at that one. Yep, Danny Albin just gets loose going through turn 2, spins the car around, and manages to pretty much hold it. There's a couple of people that got disrupted by that, but no big crash. Danny Albin, only his 2nd race in the Cup Series, had a brilliant start last time out. Not quite as good as his debut last time out, but still doing well out there. But possibly a little bit of inexperience there causing that crash.
Yeah, most definitely.
And he's got quite a bit of damage on the front as well, and getting a look at that car, you'll see the new damage model in action, as well as the front section of the car. It's probably not the best advertisement, as it's currently sort of flapping up underneath the hood, but you can see it's still attached, and that would be causing some issues for the cooling, I imagine. So he's probably going to have to pit for that one because that will cause some serious damage to the cooling. Now, question is do you pit now for a top-up of fuel, or do you stay out?
Well, we're seeing some people going, some people play the trick.
We've got everybody sort of from 7th down, sort of trying to take that. Hamish Gallagher stayed out, Stephen Williams, Norman Clark stayed out, but Jason Hartigan and a couple of other guys did go in just to top up those fuel tanks, I imagine. They're not going to probably go for new tyres, but definitely get some fuel in there. So we'll see how that one unfolds. As a few of them do take some tyres, a few of them just keep the fuel. So we'll see how that one unfolds, because obviously those fresh tyres will be slightly better than the tyres everybody else is on, although they've not had too much of a stint on those new tyres.
You've only had like 3 laps of actual racing, I believe, on those tyres.
Yeah, about 3 laps of actual racing, so about 6 laps in total. So not going to be too much of an advantage from those tyres, but it might be a key ingredient to getting to the end of this race, of course. You might find that all the drivers up in front of us need to stop again, while as those guys could stay out. And if we remain green, that could be a very tricky one. So I'll have to see how that one unfolds. But personally, I would have rolled the dice, gone in for the pit stop now and make sure I could get home safely. While as the other guys, they could see they need to stop one more time. So it'll be interesting to see how that one works out.
Yeah, we'll see, Carl, because we're already getting through this second half. The second half always seems to go quicker of the race. So
It does. We've got 40... No, maths working.
yeah, 49 laps are up.
39 laps to go.
So yeah, even under safety car, these guys can be flicking their cars on to save fuel, rolling around in high gear. They can be doing things to save their fuel. And if they need, this would be helping them save their tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that is a big thing, of course, when you're in these conditions, is just clutching it as you're going round or turning the engine off and just saving that little bit of extra fuel to get you to the end of the race, just in case you need it, of course. I think everybody will be just about okay for fuel, but the big question is going to be tyres. How well will those tyres stick together? Will they be able to do the remainder of the race on this one set? As the pace car is going to be coming in this lap, Danny G is going to lead us away with Edward Foster on the outside. Mitch Motorsport versus JP Simshed. We've said that a few times this season. Those two teams are definitely sort of at the top of their game at the moment and are the sort of teams to beat, it seems, in the series. Pace car comes in. We're going to shut up for this lap as Danny G leads us away. And as we cross the line for the 63rd time, Foster manages to lead, but Danny G is back on him. Foster managed to get 1 lap led though, so that's going to be a point for him. But Danny G is back out there. Great driving by these two. Very close, very fast driving. They're right on it at the moment.
Yeah, we see we saw it got a bit hung up on the outside there, right at the beginning of the restart, but then he covered off a lot of the drivers there and had a good run down the backstretch.
managed to get the car back under and sort of just get that little bit of extra drive. And now he's getting the push from Danny G's teammate in the form of Josh Mickelmore, who's sitting right behind Foster, and that's just helping him actually get ahead of his Mickelmore's teammate. And it looks like he's almost made that move stick. He just needs to get a little bit further. And they're so close. You can see that Foster just wants to slide out in front of Danny G, but he just doesn't have the speed to do it. Danny G just gets that better drive off the corner once more, and Foster's left on the inside. He needs to be able to get just ahead of Danny G to slide up on in front of him to get that position and get that lead secured for himself. He's got his teammate Joshua Carroll Walden climbing up there, but he's got a Josh Mickelmore-sized barrier in front of him to get past. As they are neck and neck across the line, Danny G just about manages to lead that lap, but not by much, by 0.002 of a second there for the lead for Danny G and Foster. Very close racing. We saw Danny G pit Martin last time out by a couple of millionths of a second for second place. Now Foster's got the aid of his teammate on that lower line as Joshua Carroll Walden comes up behind him, gives him that little bit of push that he needs. Foster's having to come a little bit higher in the line though, just so he doesn't scrub his tyres too much. Will he be able to get down there to get some help? As now we've got Martin going down. Martin is taking that position from Foster on the inside line. And it looks like Martin might have got the position made. Martin has done it. He's managed to get in front of Foster.
Yeah, a lot of chopping and changing here with these guys up front at the moment. As we see now, Mickelmore moved down behind Jason.
Yeah, they are working as a team, trying their best to... It's a bit like Tetris almost at, 300 kilometers per hour. As you're chopping and changing positions, trying to get the right-sized car to fit in the right-sized slot here. But Danny G is doing a fantastic job of absorbing the pressure and the lead at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing well, and he wouldn't mind seeing these guys behind him battle at the moment.
Of course, those guys behind him battling means he's got a chance to pull away. As Josh Mickelmore thinks about going free wide, but thinks better of it for the moment. Mike Brown, on the other hand, is trying his best as well, and he's got a good run now. As Mike Brown sits down behind Jason Martin and starts to get a little bit of a push. You've got Edward Foster on the high line now. That's where he kind of wants to be. If he can get Danny G on that low line, and he can force his way ahead on that top line, Foster could take the lead here as Mike Brown goes free wide into turn number 1, down on the inside line in front of Martin. Brilliant driving as Joshua Carroll Walden gets hung up on the outside line. Will he be able to get back down there? We're not too sure. Side by side for 5th and 6th at the moment. It's some serious action there. There's very close racing in the top 5 at the moment. It's a bit hard to know where to look, isn't it?
Yeah, it is at the moment.
We try to look to this end of the action as it goes on as Mike Brown gets a good run on Foster now. Will Foster try and use Mike Brown to help him push a bit forward past Danny G. Brown and Foster, of course, both had 4 pit stops on that first caution period, and they've managed to work their way back up to the front here. So brilliant recovery drives for them. As we see in the background, a couple of cars getting very close to the wall. I think that was Hamish Gallagher getting very, very close to the wall there. But they're starting to fall into that single file formation once more. Foster's just going to sit there, just ease off a little bit, wait and see what he can do. Just looking down the field a little bit at drivers that stopped for those tyres. At the moment, James Roby is the guy that's on the charge, and he is currently sort of chasing down Stephen Williams with those fresher sets of tyres. Not that much difference in times, but he is a bit faster than the rest of the midfield. He's setting times equivalent to that of the front runners. So those fresher tyres are definitely helping out as we see Mike Brown get second place, Foster getting pushed out wide, and Josh Mickelmore looking like he was going to try it. Danny G having to make a big move down on the inside to stop Mike Brown getting past. Doesn't succeed. Mike Brown manages to get that inside line held with Jason Martin behind him, getting a good push from Danny G's teammate. Will Brown manage to keep the position now? Of course, we've seen that top line have better drive out of the corner all night long. But it looks like Brown might have got a better drive off this corner as he comes up in front of Danny G. Will he be able to make it stick? And Brown has managed to make it stick at the moment as Jason Martin now sits on the inside of his teammate. Foster looks to go 3 wide, but there is not enough room to fit a car in there. He tries his best. Now he might have a chance. He's going to try it. He's sitting just behind Danny G as Josh Micklemore comes down on the inside. You've got Brown, Martin, Micklemore on the inside. No, Brown is on the outside line again.
Yeah, that was a very quick movement of the wheel there by Danny G. It was nearly a bit too quick.
He was lucky to get away with that one for sure. It takes a lot of skill to be able to move the car that quickly at these speeds, because you can find if you do that, you can snap oversteer, and all of a sudden the back end is your front end, and your front end is your back end. It can become very quick to happen. But in a matter of a couple of laps, Foster's gone from fighting for 2nd place to fighting for 5th place. Mike Brown is in the lead.
Eddie Foster burned through his stuff too quickly, too early on. As we do see a big cloud cover over the track these last few laps too, so maybe there's some type of tyre temperature going on there that isn't working for him.
Yeah, it's with some fantastic action there. That was very, very fun. Now Skurlock is starting to catch up, along with James Robbie, and as I said, James Robbie is the one that has those fresh tyres on as well. And you can see he's got a little bit better drive through those corners as he comes up behind Skurlock. He's currently sitting on the back of Micklemore.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how much those tyres actually help out Robbie there, because his car is he's definitely got a bit more speed on these other guys. Just seems a little bit more comfortable to be able to put the car down a little bit. Not that much difference in tyre life, but definitely helping out that little bit on those fresher tyres. As he's currently sitting behind his teammate in Michael Skurlock, who's battling with Josh Micklemore.
Micklemore fell down through the pack there a fair bit, hasn't he? Unfortunately.
He has. He's lost a couple of positions, and a little bit of that was to do with a bit of a poor pit stop, of course, but also Mike Brown and Foster just having some incredible pace as well. They've just managed to really force their way in front of Micklemore. Just some absolute great driving by these guys.
Yeah, really great driving out here tonight by a whole bunch of them, as we've seen.
Yeah, if we had to choose a driver of the night right now, I don't think I could do it. There's so many good drives out there. As we've seen Robbie going down on the inside again, he's getting past Skurlock now. Meanwhile, Stephen Williams is also carrying along there. He's managing to get past Skurlock as well. Stephen Williams just holding back a little bit. Jason Hardgan as well, someone I hadn't mentioned tonight in the JP Sinclair car as well. He was one of those other drivers to stop, and he's also got some speed on the guys in front of him as well. So those guys are starting to climb up the order.
Yeah, I've been watching on the timing chart here slowly make his way up, because the JP Sinclair guys have been a little slept on tonight, so they're looking to make some moves now.
Okay, as Mike Brown goes down the inside, and just as we're watching this fantastic action, we're just going to mention the fantastic new track cams we got from Track Cams for Gourmet. That little bit of shape as well inside the car, a little bit of movement, they are making it look even better. And you of course can get those cameras at trackcams22.com if you are looking for some decent cameras to show off your series. If you are another broadcaster, I would really recommend going to trackcams22.com. Track Cams for Gourmet giving us some great camera angles tonight.
Yeah, that shake is actually now a new feature in iRacing. They added that in the new build here 2 days ago.
And those camera angles are taking the best advantage of it that they can. It just really adds to the realism, as we've got a huge down with Joshua Carroll-Walden, who has really dropped off pace-wise, falling down, having a great battle with Raymond Yeager, Stacey Walker, Hamish Gallagher, all in a bit of a battle as Norman Clark tries to catch on to that group. as the front starts to settle down a little bit. And as they settle down, they're still within a couple of tenths of each other. The race for the front is still not over yet. As we hit lap 78, we're going to be on lap 79 this home round.
Yeah, those laps starting to stick by now, Carl. They tend to take a long time till you get to midway, and then once you get to midway, they pick up a bit as a commentator.
They do. That, of course, only counts for oval racing. Once we get to the road courses, that does not happen. It seems like the last half of the race takes even longer. Something to look forward to for next week, Johnny.
Thanks, Carl. Road courses. You got to turn two ways, mate. That sounds too complicated.
It's always fun, and also a big thing as well. Just got to mention JP and Booth doing the camera angles tonight, as we've got one heck of a battle going on between Joshua Carroll-Wald and Raymond Yeager at the moment. Too wide down the front straight. Really good racing here in 11th and 12th place. These top sort of 16 cars are all within a couple of tenths of each other. Really battling hard at the moment. Carroll-Wald just on the outside at the moment. Raymond Yeager taking that position as one of the cars gets a little bit loose. I believe that was Holzlander again, just getting a little bit loose in the mid-pack there. Sorry, it was Stacey Walker, sorry, not Holzlander. Holzlander's on the outside of Yeager now, giving Joshua Carroll-Wald a bit of a push. They are neck and neck in it as Gallagher gets pushed very close to the wall. They are really going for it in this mid-pack at the moment.
Yeah, as we see up the front here, James Roby looking to get past. Micklemore seems he may have the job done here. Saying that now, he's got the sideways off the corner.
It's so close, isn't it? And now Stephen Williams is going to have a nibble at that fight. So there's action all across the track at the moment. As you can see, as they come round the corners, there's that side-by-side action from 12th downwards, and then there's the action up the front as well. A lot of cars coming into that. Jason Hartigan as well coming into the actual battle here too. And Holzlander is going free wide across the start-finish line between Gallagher and Carroll-Wald. There's some serious racing going on in that little mid-pack as well. It's all action as Norman Clark gets a good run as well in 14th place. He's starting to get a good run on 12th and 13th.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Martin is fighting back at Brown.
Yeah, he had the lead there for a bit, but now Brown's back underneath.
Of course, we've seen that outside line work best all night long. Will it continue that way? Brown is keeping a good amount of pace in the car, but Martin is edging closer and closer every lap. Just slowly starting to build a little bit of a lead in front of him as Martin has to lift a little bit through the corner as well as Brown. They both go a little bit sideways. Brown goes very sideways there for a moment, has to go up. He loses a position to Danny G and Edward Foster. Edward Foster getting a great run on Danny G. He's going to go down the inside here. Will Foster be able to make it around Danny G? That's the big question. As they go into the corner, they almost make contact. So close there to contact between Foster and Danny G. Foster lifting the accelerator just a little bit in that moment, giving Brown a chance to run up to him. They're side by side as they come across the start-finish line. Danny G's just a nose ahead at the moment. Will Foster be able to make this move stick? He's been trying all race long. He's got a good run into turn one. He goes down. He will possibly be able to do it, but again, Danny G just has that better run through the top end of the corner. Josh Micklemore as well coming back into the fight now as he comes down the inside of Mike Brown.
Yeah, and James Roby's sitting there starting to now heat up, Carl.
It is indeed. It's getting a bit toasty out there. We're on lap 84, so 15 laps to go on this lap. 15 laps to go. It's definitely heating up. There is some spicy action out there. All throughout the field, as I say, there is an immense battle going on for the top 10, sort of top 11, top 12. Norman Clark coming out good on that one at the moment. He's managed to get past a lot of those guys, but at the front we can't take our eyes off it too much because these guys are fighting so hard.
Yeah, they are. Jason's kind of now skipping away a little bit with these guys starting to battle behind him.
Jason Martin is going to be a little bit relieved about that because he's given him a little bit of a gap so he can actually get away from these guys. But yeah, they are fighting so hard with each other.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I've questioned how close they've gotten.
Yes, just down the field a little bit. Jason Hartigan just getting contact with the wall. He's dropped down a little bit. He was up there with James Robbie and Stephen Williams, but he's now dropping back a little bit towards the Clark, Gallagher, Carol Walden, Otto, lots of other names in their battle pack. But they've started to sort themselves out. It's back at the front where the action's starting to happen. As Foster gets a good run on Danny G here. He's getting a good little push from Brown. As Brown goes up top, Danny G sees it. He goes up there to defend, and he manages to keep them off another lap.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of defending and attacking going on here. Danny G is doing a good job defending Edward at the moment.
Absolutely. Danny G has just been positioning that car perfectly all night, just managing to keep it in the right spot for the people behind him to keep them backed off. He's doing a great job of defending. As James Robbie is still trying to get past his... Oh, and Brown makes contact with the wall, goes down, manages to catch it. He manages to catch the car, but he's going to lose a couple of positions from this one, as he almost makes contact with Skurlock.
Yeah, he come up on the track very aggressively there.
He's tried his best not to lose those positions and almost caused a big wreck from that one. Possibly a little bit of inexperience there, just catching out on that time. But managed to get away with it. Skurlock managed to just about miss that incident as it was going to happen, as we're 12 laps to go, and the battle at the front is still very much on. Martin has got a decent lead from his teammate of Danny G. Foster is all over the back of Danny G like a rash. Micklemore and Skurlock are battling. Brown is trying his best to get back into the action as he's got James Robbie and Stephen Williams behind him. Jason Hartigan is managing to recover a little bit with Riley Curtis sitting in ninth. A brilliant drive for Riley Curtis, who's managed to get 23 positions in this race.
Yeah, this time by it'll be 10 to go.
Almost to the end of this one. It's definitely gone quicker towards the end of this race as things have definitely heated up.
Yeah, as we see another shadow move over the track here.
And that's only going to make the drivers happier as the track temperature drops a little bit. It's going to be a little bit easier on the tyres, of course. As Foster gets another bit of a run on Danny G, trying his best to get down there. He's really sniffing around out there as behind them, Skurlock gets a great run on Micklemore. Will he be able to make this one stick? Skurlock goes down the inside. He's got some power. It looks like he might have a slight tyre advantage as well. He's got a better drive off the corner. It looks like they're side by side as they come across the start-finish line. Skurlock has definitely got a little bit of pace in him as they go into the first corner. This is going to give Skurlock a slight advantage. Will Skurlock be able to make this one stick and keep Micklemore behind him? Trying his best.
I believe Skurlock is the first car on those fresher tyres.
Skurlock pitted the same time as everybody else. So the first car on fresher tyres is actually Mike Brown. Mike Brown, James Roby.
Well, I stand to be corrected.
Riley Curtis, all those guys that came in for that final stop have managed to make positions back. From Raymond Yeager to Mike Brown, those all stopped on that final portion that we had, and they made those positions up quite well. So it looks like that was a good call in the mid-pack because they definitely made their positions back in this race. Would have been interesting to see some of the leaders do it, but of course track position is king sometimes.
Yeah, this track, as we've seen, is very cool at one line. It's very hard to get around people by the looks of it here tonight.
It can be so easy to make a mistake out here, although you can run too wide. Once the tyres start dropping off, it is very difficult to make that second line stick. You can get a bit of a high line and a low line going, but it does get harder as those tyres fall off, and it does get very tricky out here, especially in these cup cars. They've got quite a bit of downforce, which is good in a way because it sticks the car to the track, but of course it also makes those tyres fall off a little bit quicker. Just looking down the pack a little bit, we've got Stephen Williams managed to get ahead of James Roby and Mike Brown at the moment. Williams doing a fantastic job of getting up the field, up into 6th place now. Riley Curtis is now catching Mike Brown as well. Started 32nd in 9th place at the moment. Jason Hartman, after that contact with the wall, is in 10th. He's managed to keep the car in it and keep the car rolling, so good job for him. And now Danny G is starting to catch up to Jason Martin as we've got 5 laps to go this time round. So once we cross the line, it will be 5 laps to go. 6 laps at the moment, but 5 laps once we cross the line. Martin has still got that lead. Foster's still sitting there behind Danny G. They are battling very hard at the moment. Just looking through the field, it seems to be very much the case that everybody is starting to spread out a little bit, but the fight is now at the front. If these guys can catch Jason Martin, that is the big question now. Will they catch Martin, who's got that little bit of a lead? He's got a quarter of a second lead almost over the other guys, and he's going to want to try and keep that the best he can. Foster is still sitting there in 3rd, and of course he's going to want to try and get up there to get that first win of his season. Danny G, of course, is the current leader of the championship as well, so he's going to want to try and keep ahead of Foster, keep those points higher up. So we're looking for a great battle here as we've got 4 laps to go.
Yeah, and is Micklemore out of contention but doing a 1-2-3 for Mitch Motorsport at this point? We'll have to see.
Barring any altercations, I would say yes, but we have seen some cars get some good runs this evening, and Micklemore isn't out of contention yet. He's still relatively close. If he gets a good draft, he could start climbing up there.
Yeah, two of them good runs. It looks like he's actually starting to possibly get one at the moment. But it might be too little too late.
So he's got a little bit of speed over the rest of them, but he's got a little bit of cleaner air as well, so he's sort of able to get out there. It might be a little too late as sun starts blasting the track once more. The cloud cover has moved away. Will we see Foster be able to make a lunge, get up to 2nd place? The laps are certainly counting down. It's a bit of a reversal from last time out, where we saw, of course, Martin and Danny G chasing down Gallagher with a very low fuel car, and of course Josh Micklemore just running very, very low on fuel in those last couple of laps and it not working his way. Same as Michael Skurlock, who's chasing down Micklemore. Could we see Skurlock here take 4th place away from Micklemore? He's definitely got the speed on that car. He's looking to make that position up. And you can see Skurlock and Micklemore are starting to catch these guys as they get a little bit of push, as they start to fall into the slipstream of Foster and Danny G as well. Foster losing a little bit of time as well over those laps, as Danny G manages to pull out a little bit. We're on lap 99 now. It's very, very close right here as Danny G gets right up to the back of Jason Martin. Fantastic job for Danny G there. But he did lose a little bit of speed. He had to just lift off a little bit. As we're coming up very quickly to the close of this race, Danny G is definitely getting a run on Jason Martin at the moment. Foster needs to get up there a little bit. He needs to climb up there for that white flag lap. As we cross the line for the Hybrid Racing Simulations white flag lap. So 1 lap to go. This is the final lap of the race. Martin leads with Danny G 2nd, Foster 3rd, Micklemore 4th and Skurlock 5th. There is not much between all of them. Danny G again tries to get that run on Martin but can't quite do it. He's just sitting there and just unable to get that speed that he needs.
Yeah, I don't see much changing on this last lap.
unless we get one heck of a run, I don't think we're going to see things changing. The only position I can see changing is possibly the 4th and 5th place as Martin comes around these final corners for the final time tonight. It's looking good for Martin. It's looking good for Mitch Motorsport. Martin takes the win here at Michigan with Danny G second, Foster third, Micklemore fourth, Skurlock fifth. Brilliant job, Skurlock almost managed to pit the post. Stephen Williams crosses the line in 6th. 7th was James Roby. 8th was Mike Brown. Good job for Mike Brown, first time out this season. Riley Curtis, a brilliant drive from 32nd to 9th. And Raymond Yeager finishes out the top 10 in 10th position. That was a very, very fun race to watch, wasn't it, Johnny?
Yeah, it was really good near the end there. Really got feisty, very close.
It definitely did. And if you enjoyed this, as we say at the start of the broadcast, join us for Monday night, the Club Day Masters GT4 series. That's Monday night at 7:30 Eastern Time. Tuesday, we've got the National Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship. That's, of course, a new season, following on from the V8's last season. Wednesday, we have the Split 2 for the National Tracking Systems V8 Evo Championship. Thursday, of course, we've got the ANZCAR Cup at Sonoma. That's next week. We'll be at Sonoma. A very different race than we had tonight, of course. So, as we said, the top 10 we've gone through. So, in 11th place, we had Norman Clark. 12th, Jason Hartigan. Phil Otto, 13th. 14th was Hamish Gallagher. 15th was Tristan Koch. Joshua Carroll Walden finished 16th. 17th, Matt Hunter. 18th, Danny Alden, good recovery. 19th was Shea Thompson. 20th was Lachlan. 21st was Barry Nail. 22nd, Nick Holtslander. 23rd was Mick Wilson, with Mirko Dirtnak 24th. Stacey Walker 25th. 26th was Bradley Allison. 27th was Damon Stockton. 28th was Michael Latter. 29th was Michael Schroeder. 30th was Steve Hoppett. 31st was Jackson Callow, Mark Johansson, 32nd, and 33rd was Gareth Anderson. Gareth Anderson. So, a great job for Mitch Motorsport once again. They've got another double car finish at the front. Foster getting a brilliant third position, just denying them of that 1-2-3.
Yeah, it was a great race.
Really enjoyable, that one. You've got to say, it was a fantastic race. So what we'll do is we will grab down our race winner, Jason Martin, to see how he's doing. Jason Martin, Carl Withy here with the Simshed Broadcasting booth. How are you going?
And that was hard work. I'm absolutely knackered after that. That was tense.
I can imagine that was a bloody intense race for you, and there was a lot of chopping and changing through that one, wasn't there?
Sure was. That was real good fun and good racing with people that you can trust.
It was great to see up the front. We saw some of the closest racing we've seen all season between yourself, your teammates Edward Foster, Skurlock, and a few other names as well. It was very close up there tonight, and we saw some serious action, and again, just a great drive for your team as well. Obviously, Mitch Motorsport got the 1-2-3 in qualifying, didn't quite manage it for the race though.
Well, we had a great tonight. That was good fun. We all enjoyed that, I'm sure.
I am sure you did, and I imagine you're happy to come out of it in the first place position as well. It wasn't looking too sure for you, as Danny G had a very strong start to that one.
Yeah, he was doing an awesome job, but he made one little mistake, so I had to pass him, and I was able to get it done. And yeah, then after that, it was pretty good fun, chopping and changing with a bunch of guys as well. Yeah.
It gave us something good to watch on the stream, that's for sure. We had some fantastic stuff out there, and it gave us lots to talk about, which is always nice to have. So really, yeah, there's not much else to say really. What a fantastic job, and anything you'd like to say, shout outs, things like that, and of course sponsorship call outs as well.
I just got to thank all the guys on race for keeping it clean and giving each other room when needed and driving hard when required. And then I've got to thank BK Designs for the car. Got to thank ANZCAR for the lead. And of course, JP Simshed for putting on the broadcast.
You are always welcome, especially if you give us races like that. Of course, next time we're at Sonoma, a very different style of racing there. How are you feeling about that one?
Oh no. I'll be happy with it.
Yeah, I am the harbinger of bad news when I say Sonoma. Most people just go, "Oh no." Yeah, it's going to be very different having the road courses back, of course. But last season we did see some improvements from you in the road course racing. Have you been putting a bit more time into that this year, or are you just sort of focusing more on the ovals?
Yeah, I don't focus much at all on road.
Well, we'll wish you the luck, and you never know what will happen, but we'll see you up in the booth before the season's over for sure. Have a good week, and we'll catch you again soon. Thanks, Jason.
Cheers, mate.
Jason Martin there for Mitch Motorsport. Brilliant win again for Jason Martin. The guy is an absolute force to reckon with, isn't he?
Yeah, we've had him here in the booth now for a win a few times this season, and yeah, him and Mitch Motorsport guys are a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely, and
Danny G is currently having pre-conversations with someone, so he is currently unavailable in the view.
So we will grab down Danny G, but yeah, just to say that Jason Martin, that is his third win this season, so he's got the highest number of wins in that sort of top 10. But joining us is championship leader Danny G for Mitch Motorsport. Danny G, congratulations on another fantastic second place.
Yeah, thanks guys. That was great.
Yeah, that was a very fun race to watch. We had some extremely close racing out there. You had to really work hard out there tonight. You seem to be in the battle pretty much the whole race long.
Yeah, they were good all night. There was probably 1 or 2 laps per run where I got really, really tight, and that's how I managed to lose the lead, which I was a bit disappointed with because I thought if I held the high side, they weren't going to get around me, and I was in disbelief when they actually got around me on the side.
Yeah, it was looking very good for you. Your pit stops were spot on all night, and then as you say, that little bit of looseness just caught you out, and a real shame, obviously. But you put up a fight to get back up there, and just a brilliant second place. It was really neck and neck between, well, a lot of you guys for a lot of that race. There was about 5 or 6 cars in it for pretty much half the race there. Towards the end of the race, it was you and Foster having a great battle. Obviously, you must be delighted with second place and a bit disappointed it wasn't the P1, of course.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like a win, kind of slipped away there, but we'll take the second place on the points. Sonoma, the road course, and that's where I'm not very good at. So I needed as much point lead as I could going into Michigan. So I come out a little bit more. So yeah, that's good news.
Well, the good news is you're still going to be leading the championship when we leave, and you'll still have a nice big gap over the rest of the drivers. You're currently 27 points ahead of Foster in second place, and of course, finishing ahead of him is only going to help you in the points lead. As you mentioned there, Sonoma, what is the rest of the team thinking about that one? We spoke to, of course, Jason about that one, and he's not looking forward to it so much. What about Josh Micklemore? Do you think he's going to be looking forward to that one, or are you expecting not so much from the team at that race?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I know Josh runs decent there, a lot better than me, Josh and Jay. So I'm hopefully kind of expecting them to get a top 10. But if I end up in the top 15, I'll be ecstatic about it.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and you never know. You never know what's going to happen in racing. You never know where you might be. So we'll wish you luck for Sonoma next time out. But before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Sure. The Bob King for the paintwork, Mitch Motorsports, Jason, Josh, and you guys for putting on the show.
You're always welcome, especially if you give us racing like that. That is always a great thing to commentate over. Thank you so much, Danny G, for Mitchell Motorsport.
Guys.
Another strong race for Danny G. He's been on top of it this season, and he's been the most consistent out of the three Mitch Motorsport drivers, which is a strong thing to say when your teammates are Jason Martin and Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
So next up, we'll grab down the JP Simshed driver, Edward Foster. Edward Foster for JP Simshed Racing. How are you going?
Yeah, mate, not too bad. Not too bad. Bit tired after all that. It was pretty intense the whole way through. So, yeah, enjoyable. Pretty happy to come away with P3. It's a good result, especially after last week, despite the fact that I did my best to throw it away by absolutely mincing my first pit stop. But, good to get out there past some cars.
Yeah, well, obviously we're going to talk about that pit stop because we all saw that, of course, and of course that was on the broadcast. Just because of your luck, really. What happened in that one? It looked like you got a little bit too much angle coming into your pit box.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, basically, I mean, I had a ready-made excuse lined up for it.
Yeah, of course,
mate,
race driver.
Yeah. So I've been driving that retro car since it came out, like literally just binging on the thing. And the way in which you change down gears in that car is a little bit different to the way you do it in this car. And I just missed my gear, and that's all it is. And by the time I got it into the gear, rear's locked up. It kind of spun a little bit sideways, and I managed to quickly pop the clutch in, catch it, and drive it into the box, but it was all at a horrible angle. I was too far to the left to get any service there, so rather than just take right side tyres, which I didn't want to do, I sucked it up, drove it forward. Then I couldn't get reverse, and it took me a while to get reverse. And yeah, it was just horrible, mate. So yeah, look, I don't like screwing up in the pits, and that's sort of been a bit of a strength of mine this year. I've had some decent stops, but that certainly wasn't one of them.
All right, the second stop did go a lot better. Of course, you made up a fair few positions in that one, so I think you redeemed yourself in that somewhat.
Yeah, the second stop was really good. I couldn't actually believe it. I came in. I think I worked my way back up to about sixth or something like that, and came out in second, third, something like that. It was really good. So yeah, win some, lose some, I suppose.
Well, that is it. It's always the case, and as you were saying, the retro cars are out, and there have been some fantastic fun, of course, and just got to mention, of course, beating you in the retro car fun race we had last night.
It's very easy, Carl, to actually beat somebody who's not in the race when their internet disconnects. It's quite easy to make up laps on a person during that circumstance. So that's right, mate. You've got that go-kart race you should have won.
I thought you were going to go with it's all because of the new steering wheel, but another great result for you, and this is just going to help out the championship in the cup standings. You're still probably going to be in second place for this one. Still, obviously, not getting that win, which I know you're going to be desperately going for, and it will be nice when it finally happens. I'm sure it will happen sometime this season. You've got that consistency up there. Obviously, the big thing to mention is road courses next. How are you feeling about those?
Look, normally I don't mind a road course, but I'm not a fan of Sonoma. I absolutely hate the place more than just about anything else on the planet Earth. I hate it. So I'm not looking forward to it at all. I'm going to have to knuckle down and do some practice to try and get round because I didn't even finish there last year. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a slog, man. I mean, they keep saying, the accepted wisdom is you keep putting yourself there or thereabouts at the end of races. Sooner or later, you're going to win one. Well, I haven't done it yet. I can tell you one thing for sure: it ain't going to come at Sonoma. We're likely to struggle there. So if I can come away with sort of a top half of the field, I guess you'd probably expect to see a few road course specialists show up for that one as well. So yeah, who knows, mate? But yeah, if I can come away with some points, I'll be happy.
Look, wish you all the best for next time out at Sonoma. Hopefully you can get sort of to the top end of the field and just get some more points for the championship. Before I let you go, if you'd like anyone to shout out for tonight, Mr. Foster.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember the last PDC I won, it was actually JP's birthday, and I was able to give him a shout out. Well, here I am being interviewed today on my birthday, so I'm going to give a shout out to me. But yeah, apart from that, it's all the usual people who get it done. So Goodyear Auto Care Warana. We've actually just got NTS on board as well, Nationwide Tracking Systems on board. So you would have seen those on Lockett. There I'm on Lockie's car tonight, so looking great. Also, we've got the Dragon RC guys as well, which have just come on board. So it's exciting times at JPSS. Of course, the usual guys, Abruzzi and Track Racer, and everyone else who gets it done for us. And of course, my teammates as well, who had a bit of a rough night tonight. Just about all of them managed to find some sort of issue or another, but it was just the nature of the racing tonight. You had to have a little bit of luck on your side. It didn't fall their way, but they're working hard, and it's a great group. And we'll just keep pushing on, man. That win's going to come.
I'm sure it will. Thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll see you in the booth again before the season's out. Edward Foster there for JP Simshed Racing.
Thanks, boys. See you later.
Another great result there. Again, you've got to say Mitch Motorsport just absolutely, up the top of the field. But Skurlock Foster again sitting up high. That's going to help out with our championship. Of course, Skurlock, we didn't mention there, but again, he had a very good finish. It was very much one of those situations where it was sort of a race to lose for those guys. It was a good race in the end, though. We had some great results.
Yeah, we definitely had an exciting race at the end there.
We did, and there was some great racing out there tonight. And it's what we like to see. It's a good close racing without cautions. Sometimes you get a bit of a wreck fest here, and we did not have that tonight. We had a very, very good race out there tonight with very few incidents. And the incidents that did happen were just simple sort of little mistakes here and there, not anything major sort of, you could go, oh yeah, that was a complete dumb move. It was very well driven, very level-headedness out there, and what we love to see, and it's going to be very different at Sonoma, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers actually cope with Sonoma, because it's not as you've heard from all of our drivers here tonight, it's not a fun circuit, and drivers that haven't driven too much road before tend to think they can sneak up the inside when it's not. They end up piling through the corner a bit too fast.
Yeah, the best way I can describe Sonoma, if you've never seen it or never raced there, it's a bit like a cross between Monaco and Laguna Seca. It's got all the hills of Laguna Seca and all the close walls of Monaco. It is not an easy track to drive, and it's a very, very loose track as well. So we'll end the broadcast here, and we will see you all again next time out at Sonoma. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.